yeah, so how has the last few years, how was the event that shall not be named brought about a change in your, is it scheduled priorities?
Yeah, I guess a little of both. Because, and just like I was always, like I said, I was talking about it in the last video, like I was a go, go, go kind of person. Like in the 90s, you know, I carried an 8.5 by 11 planner that had a zip up case, looked like a briefcase, but it was really just my calendar.
And that so much.
And if I had an hour in there somewhere, especially on a Saturday, that was not blocked off with something to do, I legit freaked out and
that
found
makes
a way
me
to
so
fill
tired.
it. I know, it made a lot of people
Were you
tired? I didn't stop long enough to figure out if I was tired.
Ooh, yeah.
I mean, I was in my mid-20s at that point. My first job, I was newly married, going to grad school. And it was a full-time job with a woman at the time who, you know, was commuting from New York. So she would come in late on Mondays, and she didn't have anything else that she had to be doing in the evening. So she was there till 11 o'clock, and it didn't surprise her at all if she came to my desk and I was there at 9 o'clock at night, because, you know, we were trying to get things done for her to make her, you know, and then, so that became my, you know, and we had gotten involved at the church early on when we got down here. You know, it was after being from Pennsylvania and being in small towns where we knew a lot of people, this was very overwhelming. And so we found the church after being here for 6 or 8 months, and started getting involved with the groups here. And then, you know, within a year we were like the youth group leaders. So at the time of all this, I was I had become a Pampered Chef consultant while I was going to grad school and working, and became youth group leader and involved in the UMW and doing all these things. So if for instance, my freaking out, like we went on a women's retreat one weekend. I think it was Columbia, Virginia or something. I haven't looked it up to see if I'm making up a name, but it was this beautiful, this lady that we had met at a District United Methodist Women's Retreat. Her name was Alexis, and she had this retreat center, you know, this beautiful old house, and then like a bunkhouse out in the back where we had meetings and stuff. So we planned just an Oakton retreat to go down there for the weekend. And I thought, okay, all the district retreats, we had things we needed to do beyond going like for a walk or the nights we played games. There wasn't a lot of like downtime. So I left the giant planner at home, and we got down there, all these beautiful big oak trees with swings hanging in them and lounge chairs. And she said, okay, just relax. Lunch will be ready in about 2 hours.
I wish I could have been a fly on the wall.
No, you don't. I lost my crap. And I knew the women, but I didn't know them well yet. By the end of that weekend, I knew them much better. And they certainly knew that I knew how to cry, because you asked if I was tired. Like, I didn't slow down enough to be tired. But that weekend, like, I sat there for at least the first hour spinning in my mind, like, nobody said anything about free time. Had I known we were going to have...
Did not plan for free time.
I got things to do, man. If I knew we were going to have free time, I would have brought my planner, and I could have worked on youth group stuff. I had Pampered Chef stuff to do. I had things for school. Like, there were all these things I could be doing instead of just sitting here under these gorgeous trees, maybe swinging in a swing, or, I don't know, getting to know some of the women that I was with, you know. But instead, I just sat there stewing for a good bit of the time, until we went to lunch. And then, you know, we had a lovely lunch, and then we went down to the bunkhouse where we had, you know, did the retreat stuff, and we started going around and sharing. And as soon as I opened my mouth to start talking, I started crying, and I couldn't stop. Like, I cried all weekend. All weekend. Like every time I opened my
Because you were
mouth,
tired.
I was crying.
Yeah.
Because I just had not released anything
Yeah.
for so long. You know, and it was terrible. And when we would go on vacations, like we didn't really go on vacations a whole lot, but you know, because mostly our parents were all in Pennsylvania, so we spent all our time going to either side of Pennsylvania. You know, we didn't spend a lot of time here getting to know people until we became youth leaders and realized we couldn't be gone every weekend. You know, that was when we finally started becoming more a part of the community here. But when we eventually when we went on vacation, like I don't really remember going on any vacation until I went on a work vacation, like other than a weekend.
Who in their
here and
early
there.
20s has money for vacation?
That's a good point. That's a good point. But we went to I had a work trip that, you know, our company had bought somebody out, so we had this, like, they paid for us all to go to Cancun in October of 2001.
Oh,
So right after 9/11.
that must have been a trip.
Well, other than the fact that they took away my toenail clippers,
Yeah,
which
was unhelpful.
which was weird, and
Yeah.
my, you know, made me go pack my. They took my curling iron and packed it in a box and shipped it separately. You know, and I got it when we got there, and then I had to pack it in my suitcase on the way back. But otherwise, like, that was, you know, as people were talking about canceling all their flights, I'm like, no, if you wanna show them how it's done, take a flight, book a flight.
That's
like,
right.
you know,
Yeah.
don't let them, you know, bully us. But
meanwhile, I'm thinking, like, I want to take a work trip to Cancun. Like, the United Methodist Church needs to send us to Cancun.
maybe we just need to go to Cancun.
I think that's
we
probably
could do
true.
videos from Cancun.
Absolutely.
I think that would be great. Or anywhere, really.
Right. Yes.
And then we could show them how much more relaxed I am on vacation, because we went down. I'd never really been, other than like a band trip in high school, I'd never been to a beach.
Yeah.
You know, I'd never gone to a beach. So here we go. We get down there, and my friend Tracy was like, she's, you know, laid down. She's going to stay there forever, right? It took me longer to lay down my towel than what I was willing to actually lay down on the chair. Like, I laid down and was immediately like, what am I supposed to do now? Like, so I got up and I went into the ocean, which I like looked like a loon, I'm sure, out there all by myself, you know, splashing in the waves a little bit. And then when I tried to come out of the ocean, it rolled me all the way back in.
Dear.
So
Yeah.
and my suit was all full of sand and stuff. But anyway, all
that.
that to tell you, I couldn't lay down. And when my friend Jean and I started, you know, several, like 6 years later, when we started going on vacations, taking the kids, we were going to North Myrtle Beach all the time. And she loves to lay in the sun. And I would just be like, no way. Like, I thank God we had 2 little boys, because I was playing with the 2 little boys while she was laying in the sun, because there was no way I was going to lay down there.
Yeah.
I would take a towel down, but it's not like I ever used it on the beach.
Yeah.
Then fast forward to this year, this last 2021, we were down in Hilton Head, and I've learned to spend a little bit of time on the beach here and there. We legitimately did nothing for an entire week. We would just go out, like, the water was real shallow, and we'd walk out and just float. Like, we'd finally get enough water that we could, like, lay down without scraping on the ground and just lay there. And it was
Who
great.
are you?
I know. I don't know who I am. I was very excited.
Yeah.
I kept joking with Jackie that I was going to start a do nothing blog, like how, you know, being a reformed, like, do.
Feels ironic, but I love that.
Right?
So what do you think made the difference for you? Like, how were you able to this past time just, like, be still? And that's a reason. I guess a better question is, like, how did the last 2 years provide you with enough to make that shift?
And it's been gradual,
right?
But it
That's
really was the last 2 years. That, you know, because Jean and I,
because
we've been going on vacation for 15 years, 17 years, I don't know, 17, I guess, and you know, it really has just been the last 3 or 4 years that I've started to slow down some, and then, you know, started to actually use the chair. If we rent chairs at the beach, I'm actually sitting in them at least part of the time. And then this last year, I think it was just being forced to slow down and realize, like, just like that retreat so long ago, you know, forced me to relax and kind of let it go. It's not like I spent the first part of 2020 crying because I didn't.
Right.
You know, it was fine, but just that forced slowdown. You know, I've gotten really good at just Joe and I can sit down and watch way too much TV now. We're fully invested in the binge watching.
I am too. I guess that's a good point. I mean, I had not really thought about and I don't know. I don't know what my catalyst for change was, because I had so many things change at one time.
You did.
Yeah. So I got engaged in July of 2019, and then we were planning a big wedding, and then March 2020 happened, and then we were just like looking toward the other side of the 8 weeks, and then that didn't happen. So we got married in May of 2020, and then, but like, gosh, 2 weeks before we got married, I found out that I was changing churches. Then I changed churches and, began that transition, changed churches at the end of June, acclimated to a new church in July, moved houses the beginning of August. Like, there was just so much that changed.
And the kids,
like, because I have 2 young adult stepchildren. So, and then my niece, who I've been raising since she was 5, was in virtual school, and my mom had some health stuff. Like, there was just so much that was not what it had been, that I don't really know what my catalyst was. But I think you make a really good point, because I by nature am go, 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 except I get tired. And so I'm like a sprint and fall. And so there was no sprinting to be done. It was just instead like finding this new like walking pace. And that, I really enjoyed that. And I do think that my husband has given me the gift, like who he is, has helped me slow down, because he is not that way. Like, he does not want to go, go, go. He likes his time at home, and he likes for us to be together. And so like, I'm used to scheduling every moment and being out, and like, yeah, we can go have dinner. Yeah, we can go do that. Like, yes, we'll take that trip. Like, I'm so used to that. And instead he's like, let's just be present. And I'm like, okay. So,
is there a book for that?
I know. Maybe
I'm not sure how.
One of us can write it. Yeah, I don't know. And like, instead I would just go until I was like, no, I'm comatose for 24 hours. So anyway, I think all of that has kind of compounded to create that moment for me. But now that things are reopening a little bit, I'm having to check myself.
Yeah.
Because I am back to being inclined to really long days and really full days. And like, but now that I know there's a walking pace, I become resentful of myself for doing that, for making my schedule so crazy. So I think the question for me, I don't know if you have the answer, and I love your trial and wisdom, but how do you maintain it? Like, because I don't observe that you're somebody who is still all the time. Like, you're still very active.
Yeah.
But you've managed to find some balance that I'm still searching for.
I'm not gonna lie, it's a process.
Yeah.
And I have to keep checking myself. And I struggle now with I never, in our early days of the church, the people I worked with were so overwhelmed with all of the stuff that I was doing that when I switched projects, and we had a little going away, they gave me no blocks. They gave me 2 little blocks that said no. And funny enough, on the other side, they said Ed by accident. And at the time, this guy, Ed, was our director of Christian education, and he was working with the youth group with us. And, between him and the pastor, they were always getting us into something. And I thought it was rude to say no. Like, one of your sermons months ago, actually like made me really take stock of that all these years later, 25 however many years later, because and some other like I would take on so much that eventually I just wasn't really doing a good job with any of them.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
And you don't think about that at the time. We would practice on that. Chip and I would practice on the way to church, and he'd say, "So, Angie, we're starting up this new committee," and I'd go, "No," because I thought if I smiled or laughed, it was less rude to say no. Not realizing, as I have between your sermon and some stuff Jackie's you know, worked with me on, and just other
and
things.
The journey itself.
You're doing people a favor,
right,
by saying, I appreciate you thinking of me, but I can't do that. Like you're, you know, and the people pleasing thing, you know, like I've always just wanted everybody to like me, you know?
Yeah.
And I still want people to like me, but if you don't, I mean, it's your loss, because I'm pretty awesome.
That's the bottom line.
You know, even 5 years ago or 3 years ago, you wouldn't have caught me saying that. Certainly not on camera, because I never wanted anyone to think that I was stuck up or thought too much of myself or whatever. But we're all God's children. But you made the comment during one of your sermons about the doctor, and how, you know, if you went to the doctor and he was like, oh, you are the spitting image of a marathon runner, triathlete,
optimal health,
go
you're
on
doing
out,
the best,
and then you croak the next day because you really have
you.
heart problems or something, and he wasn't honest with you. Like, he's not doing you any favors. And it's the same thing, you know, with accepting, you know, saying yes all the time, and, you know, trying to overdo. Like, you want to do a good job with what you say yes to.
That's a really good perspective.
You know, if you put it into your, as Jackie calls them, your value buckets and stuff, you know, and making sure that what you're saying yes to is going to feed your soul and serve in the way that you are kind of called to serve. Like, I still catch myself, you know, I'm torn now between, now that we're not filming stuff on Sunday for church, both Saturday and Sunday are pretty clear on my calendar. And part of me goes, maybe I should go look at the Women Giving Back schedule and see if I should sign up for something on Saturday. Like, I alternate between going, oh no, I have 2 empty days on my calendar, or, oh yay, I have 2 empty, you know. And I
absolutely understand that.
The good news is, more and more I'm thinking, oh yay, like, we can work around the house. I can work on the taxes. You know, things like that if I schedule enough stuff, I can ignore them, right? But they have to be done eventually, and then I'm up all night trying to do them. So
but you like that too.
I do love a good crunch time. I do, even at work. So I like a good crunch time. But it also takes a toll, and then you crash. Yeah. So I'm still struggling with, I would love to get on the volunteer calendar or the church, you know, whatever, and have every minute of my life booked up. But then, you know, as we were talking earlier, like, we have husbands that we actually like to spend time with, that, you know, it's a good thing to have, and we need to
honor that.
That's a good way to put it. You know, to schedule that in a way that we're present for our families, and you know, something that I think it was you. I was going to say, someone said today, you know, and to be present in what I'm doing. I think it was before we started taping that we were talking about that.
Things come out of my mouth sometimes, and I don't even know.
You're so smart.
I'm so smart.
You're very wise for your young years.
Thank you. I believe that sometimes it's the Holy Spirit, because I don't know what I'm saying. But I really like that about how sometimes in the saying yes, we're actually not honoring the ask, or we're not honoring the person who's asked it of us, because we're not fully present in it. We're not giving 100%. We can't give 100%, and
you resent it. But sometimes by the time you're doing
it, yourself, them, something. And I think that, and I totally resonate with that. Like, there's nothing on the calendar for 2 days. That's so good. And also, like, there's nothing on the calendar for 2 days. What can we do?
Right.
Like,
I feel like a slacker. What should I do to fill it?
Right. I know. And then I was going to make a point, but this just made me realize I project that onto other people too. Like, you spent, someone in my life, you spent an entire afternoon watching TV when you could have done A, B, C, D, and E, and I would have loved that, and that would have been so helpful to me. But you just sat. Like, I can project that onto somebody else, and that's not fair either.
Right.
Because, I mean, I don't know how when I was in my ordination process, I had to do a training, and the thing that I took away from it was a 6-week training. It was beautiful and awful. If you've been through CPE, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It stands for Clinical Pastoral Education. It is the most horrible and beautiful thing you ever do as a pastor. But the thing that I took away, we had to present a gift to our class at the end, and mine was a bookmark that said, "Be here now." Be here now. Because I was so challenged at just being still and being present. And they would challenge me in that, why is that so hard for you? And I think I'm still trying to figure that out, but people deserve to be where they are too, like to be here now and to not have to do. So I don't know, but I guess the point that I was going to make is it's about constantly checking yourself. It's about like really being mindful of how you're feeling, why you're feeling it, and what's behind that. My therapist, because I advocate for therapy, just recently had me do an exercise where I had to carry plates. And anytime I said yes to something, a paper plate, I wrote it on a new plate, and that was the plate that I carried. And so I had the stack of plates of things that I'd said yes to. And it was such a helpful visual to me because it made me think about where I was like volunteering my time or giving away my time or like filling in my time, and then consequently felt resentful. Yeah. So I don't know what we do with that other than keep journeying, right? Like keep just trying to be better at it.
And it's all a journey, and all figuring out, what your priorities, your calling, your, how you can serve yourself and serve other people and give other people the grace, right? And you got to give yourself the grace, because when you were saying, you sat all day and watched television, like every now and then I sit and just watch television because I'm just done. So I guess that goes back to, yes, I do get tired, especially now. Back when I was 20, I didn't get as tired, but I also just was the energizer, like I didn't allow myself to think about being tired. In the last couple of years, I've allowed myself to realize, yes, I'm tired. And I still try to overdo, but when I stop, sometimes I sit down to eat something or just rest for 5 minutes, and then 3 hours later I've realized I've just watched half a season of something, and then I beat myself up about it. So it's not just that we beat other people up for doing it. I beat myself up for it because I should have done, I had all these things that need to be done. And, there's the don't should all over yourself, right? Because, I should do this and I should do that.
She said
Should. My mouth's a little dry, so it might sound otherwise, but should.
I just think it's a convenient word. Don't should all yours. I mean, like,
I love it.
Say it fast.
Yeah. I mean, and it really is. True. It's a similar concept because you really, you don't give yourself that grace to take a break or.
That's a good takeaway, I think. Like, in the moments, because one of the things I've been figuring out, which is like a whole conversation for another day, is like I'm trying to handle my stress better, and just paying attention to when I feel kind of the like stress geyser exploding, and what's motivating it. And sometimes it's projection, right? I'm shoulding all over somebody else, but really, is it because I'm shoulding all over myself? Like, well, you should have. If you hadn't, then you could have. And now you need somebody else to, but they can't because they didn't know they should, right? It just becomes this convoluted mess of shoulds. Yeah, I like that. I think that's the thing I'm going to take away and try to use. Have you met anybody who does it perfectly?
No.
Good.
None of us are perfect.
I know, but I keep looking for the person who's like, I've got all the answers. Here's
and people look to us. You as a pastor, and me because I'm really good, good with the fake it till you make it thing, right? Like pretending that it's all together. Right. People go, well, how do you do it? Yeah. And
I do not.
Yeah, I don't.
Nobody does.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Because we're human and we're growing. We've done a lot of growing the last couple of years.
So I guess that's the encouragement, huh? It's like grace for yourself because nobody's got it perfect. And don't shit all over yourself.
And remember that whatever people are putting on, right? Yeah. That's I say it a lot now. I forget. I don't even know who said it first. I think it was a meme that I saw on Facebook or something, and I was like,
It makes me feel. Don't shit all over yourself. I love it. That's so funny.
Yeah. Well, that's probably a good place to stop for today. And thank you guys again for watching. I'm Angie. I don't think we've ever actually introduced ourselves.
I guess we should. I'm Ashley.
Yeah. And we're real excited to be with you, and we hope you'll tune in again sometime. Leave us some comments and
let us know what what's happening for you? What's, what would be helpful to have random access to? What conversation, what topic? Where are you stuck? Where are you looking for
We can promise to start with that conversation. Who knows where it'll go from there.
We don't know. And we also don't know that we have the answer, but we're just happy to talk it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
give you our thoughts anyway.
See you next time.